Welcome to another episode of the CX Architect Podcast. I am your host, Zach Hoskins, and it is my pleasure to bring to you businesses who have a customer-centric focus and dive into what that looks like now, what it's looked like over the life of the business, and what it will look like in the future of the business. My goal would be that you could snag some insights to implement into your business after listening. Let's dive in. On this episode, I sit down with Jared Duckett and Bill Ladd with Duckett Lad CPAs and Advisors. Duckett Lad believes that you deserve a partner in accounting. They exist to help you find better clarity in your numbers, your strategy, and your profitability so you can focus on what you are truly passionate about. My conversation with Jared and Bill was filled with incredible pieces surrounding client experience. So without further ado, here's my conversation with Jared and Bill. Jared and Bill, thanks for joining me on the podcast. I really appreciate you guys being here.
Yep, you bet. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, Zach, we appreciate it, man. Looking forward to talking to you and seeing what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, hey, just to kind of give some context to the conversation, if you guys want to dive into the background of kind of where you guys have come from, talk a little bit about your story, how you've gotten here, where your business is now and where it's going.
Yeah, if you don't mind, Jared, I'll go ahead and jump in on this. Probably to realistically look back to the firm we are now and to look forward, you probably need to go back about three and a half years. And Jared and I were sitting in a bigger CPA firm, had 7 partners and 3 offices. And, it was a good firm. It was, doing a lot of good things. But I think that there was really 7 partners and 7 different visions of where we wanted to go. And so it just wasn't the right fit at that time. So, we were able to go through a process of, negotiating a buyout and taking over the Springfield practice. And through that, Jared and I had to have a very frank heart-to-heart conversation where we looked at each other and said, are we going to do this? And not just that, but do we see the world the same way? Because we had just come through a situation where we really didn't see the world the same way with our partners, and it was not a productive situation. So I think it became very clear to me, and I think Jared would agree too, that we do see the world the same way. That what we were doing previously is not really what we wanted to do going forward. So in May 1st of 2015, we broke off and formed Duckett Lad. And through that process, Zach, our goal was to say we don't want to be that traditional accounting firm. We don't want to be that firm that sees you once a year. We really truly want to build partnerships with our people. We want to be proactive. We want to kind of create a mission-based approach to accounting because we do believe that even accountants can change the world. That was one of my biggest realizations I ever had, is that we have the ability to positively affect people's lives. And I think that we've kind of adopted that mantra as a firm, and that's kind of led us to the point where we are now, where I feel like we have a lot of people here who really care about this place and want to make it better. So, that's kind of a Reader's Digest version, I guess you could say, of kind of the Duckett Lad. We haven't been in existence very long, but I'm pretty proud of what we've done in that short time.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself, Bill. Back in May of 15 when we created Duckett Lad, a lot of times I tell people, well, it's, we obtained sole ownership, but it's really just a name change. We're the same firm, same team members, same clients, etc. But if you think about it, we did a complete 180 on what type of firm we were. Internally and then externally, we really got to that mission-based where we weren't just doing tax returns. We weren't just providing a transaction to somebody. We were starting to think about with our clients, how can we make their lives better? Yeah. How can we add value to them? And how can we be their partner and not just their accountant? And once we started doing that, you get really passionate about it, and it's almost you get addicted to it. Like, I love this. Let's keep doing it. Let's start associating with clients that want to get better and adding that value. That's what we try to do every single day at Duckett Lad. Add value and make clients' lives better, and it's fun.
No doubt. Well, that sounds great. And if I'm not mistaken, you guys were just recognized. Can you talk a little bit about that recognition?
Yeah, definitely. So we did just get recognized as one of the top 100 accounting firms to work for in the United States. So that's we're extremely proud of that.
Yeah.
I mean that we got that recognition because of our team members. I mean, we have some of the best team members that you can get, in my opinion, and the team members is what drives the firm.
Yep.
And we're extremely proud of that. That says a lot about what we're doing, and we'll just keep moving forward and try to get that every year and keep getting better.
And I think one thing I'll add to that too is what I'm really proud about that is the way that was structured was 25% of it is what Jared and I say about ourselves, and 75% is weighted to what our team members say anonymously about us through surveys.
Wow.
And that is what I'm most proud of, because that's what we're trying to build every single day, is an environment where people actually, feel that they can come, they're excited to come into work, they have a safe environment here where we can communicate openly, we can try to go out and make this world better, and then they go home and hopefully they're having some fulfillment, they feel fulfillment that they've had a great day and actually made a difference. And that's really what we're trying to get here. So we are really proud of that award. It's something that like Jared said, we're going to try to get better and get that thing every single year.
Man, oh yeah, what an incredible job, fellas. So let's dive in. So you guys have an incredible firm, clearly from that recognition. But let's dive into the client experience. So that's kind of the employee experience. It seems like you guys are crushing it there too. But I got to tell you, you guys are crushing it on the client experience side too. Can we kind of dive into some of those pieces? Maybe how you strategized about your client experience, some of the unique things that you guys are doing. Can we spend some time there?
Yeah, no doubt. I think one of the biggest realizations we had is that to really move the ball forward as a firm, we really needed to kind of hammer down our mission. We needed to hammer down our core values, and through that process, kind of come up with what we believe. And one of the things, or two of the we believe statements we came up with is, number one is we believe people deserve a partner, not an accountant. And the second one is we believe that going to your accountant should be a relief, not a stress. And I think that for years and years, it has been a stress or a burden or a frustration to go to your accountant. I mean, even if you like the person, there's some anxiety that's kind of built into that. So our goal was, okay, if we say that that's really what we believe as a client, for our clients, how can we build a structure that is designed to create a sense of comfort or relief when you walk in the door? And we can certainly point out the tangible things like the candy bar that's out front. I mean, I think you've seen that. You've actually had some of that. That's been a huge hit, and for our people too. They just love that. Having an office dog that comes in.
Yes.
Wearing jeans. You could go through all those simple things, but I think if you're doing that, you're really missing the point that those are all things that if they come in and all those things are there, but everybody's a jerk to you, then what's it matter? Sure. So, to me, it's about finding the right people who come in that are passionate, that feel like they're being taken care of, and then we know that they will take care of our clients. And I think, in my opinion, that's where that client experience really starts, is by us taking care of our people.
Yeah. I mean, we want our clients when they walk in the door to feel welcome. We want them to feel, a sense of this is not an accounting office. Typically, you think about, well, I don't want to go to the dentist. It's a bad experience. Accountants can kind of fall in that too. I don't want to go to my accountant because, I don't know what's going to happen. It might be a bad tax bill or whatever. So we want people to feel welcome here. We want them to feel, that this is a place that that we're here to help them, as opposed to just having a surprise. And so we're really trying to figure out from that client aspect how we can just, kind of chime in and help them get better in that aspect.
That's great. I love kind of talking through and just not even the tactical pieces, but those more like making your team the best that they can to instill that in the culture, to create that client experience across the board.
One thing I'll say, Zach, and I think this is probably a very important point in my mind, and maybe not everybody sees it this way, but probably a very subtle change we made that has made almost more difference than anything else we've done is that when we formed Duckett Lad, we came up with our mission statement and our purpose, our why. I call it our why. I'm a big Simon Sinek guy. So it's strive every day to make the lives of your clients and team members better. Okay, that's very simple. That's something that when we told everybody, they got fired up and everybody's excited. So on its surface, we felt like that was something we could all get passionate about. A very subtle change we made to that when we finally rolled this thing out is we switched team member and client. So in other words, now we say strive every day to make the lives of your team members and clients better. And that may seem like a very minor change, but to us it's everything. Because I'm kind of in the Southwest Airlines train of thought that your people come first.
Sure.
You know, I think that if you look at it that way, then what we see is that your people feel that they're coming into this environment where they love coming, they feel like they're making a difference, and I guarantee you that affects the client experience. So it's almost like the client experience becomes a byproduct of, in my mind, putting our people first and making sure we're taking care of them. So that minor change was something that I feel like changed everything for our firm.
Yeah, that was huge. And if you think about it, I mean, just think about, you know, Angie here at the front desk, you know, and she's the first person people see when they walk in the door. Well, if we're not trying to make Angie's life better and she's in a bad spot or she's disgruntled or frustrated, that client's gonna feel that. And so if we take care of our team members, that's gonna directly affect how we're taking care of our clients, and it's working.
Definitely. Wow. That makes so much sense. Okay, so it seems like things around here are going well. The recognition's here. You know, it's all good. Tell me about, let's dive deep into, I'd like, you know, kind of both of your perspectives on this or thoughts. What's a challenge or a failure that has happened in the past that has actually set you up for later success?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I think, you know, a failure or an obstacle or something would be when we kind of had the split, if you will. I mean, you know, I think, as Bill referenced, when we sat across each other and looked each other in the eye, you know, do we move forward and you know, partner up and take sole ownership of this office? That was a big deal. And I think that was probably the biggest learning experience I've had in my career, hands down. I learned so much more from going through that and looking to the future than I think I'll ever learn, to be honest with you. And you know, I say this all the time, is that anything, you know, say you have a bad investment or you have an issue or obstacle, if you just go through it and don't look back and learn from it,
yeah,
you have to take advantage of those mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes, but take advantage of it, figure out what you learn from it so that you can take it and move forward. But that would probably be the biggest issue or mistake that I've learned from. Definitely.
I really like that, Jared. I think that would probably be number one for me as well. But another one I think that has recently kind of come up, and it's getting us to the point where I feel like we're really evolving and becoming better as a firm, is, as you can imagine, we were a bunch of accountants, right? So there's a certain personality type. If you know the DISC profile, we are a lot of high S's and high C's. You know, we are non-confrontational people. We want things, the status quo, to be comfortable and easy because we don't like friction and problems. And I think, you know, a challenge we've had to address and overcome to make everybody's lives better is we had to address the topic of candor and making sure that we were having the open, honest dialogues that we have to have with our team members. Because, you know, we are big Dave Ramsey guys, and he kind of goes through a whole laundry list of things that kill unity, but unresolved disagreements is probably one of the biggest ones. And probably almost every one of your listeners out here will sit here and they'll think back, yeah, I've been in that situation where something's lingered and it's just kind of set in your heart forever, and it's been so frustrating that you're like, finally it just boils over. And what happens, something that could have been addressed in a micro explosion all of a sudden blows up, and it can be very devastating to an office. So our biggest challenge has been to create an environment where people do feel safe enough to have honest dialogue. If there's frustrations or problems, you deal with them in a respectful way, but in a way that allows you to address them and move forward. So that's a challenge that I think we are still working on. It's not easy, but it's something that as we evolve, I think it does make us better as a firm.
What made you become aware of that challenge, I guess?
I think it's not hard to become aware of it if you open your eyes. Well, no, let me put it this way. Take your head out of the sand. I mean, they're everywhere. You see them, you know them. As a whole, it's really easy to choose to ignore them because it's hard. That's hard work. It's easier to go in my office and crank out a 1040 return than it is to try to facilitate a conversation between two team members that have a disagreement. That is hard work. But it's so crucial, and leaders out there have to instill this environment where that happens. So I would argue that you do know what's out there. It's not like you don't know this needs to be addressed. It's just, do you have the courage to do it? And it's not easy. It is hard. It was a hard thing for us to do.
Yeah, I think we realized it really, once you hit things head on, once you see issues, if you hit them head on and catch them early, then it just kind of snowballs into getting better.
Yeah.
But if you do the ostrich approach, like Bill said, stick your head in the sand and, well, it's going to take care of itself. Maybe there's an issue over here, but it'll go away. And you just keep putting your head in the sand more and more and more. That thing's going to build. But just hit that thing head on and address it and create that environment where team members can talk about things and figure them out. We're all smart people, right? We have all different personalities, but just figure out how to work with each other to get the issue solved. And I agree with you, Bill. That's been huge in our firm, and it's making us better.
And Jared, what's better? Is it better to have this in an open dialogue, or is it better to be out in the parking lot talking to one of your coworkers and gossiping about it? It happens all the time in all kinds of businesses, and we are just, that is a hill we're willing to die on, is to try to get that stuff out of our firm to where we have these conversations out in the open, face to face.
Well, and that kind of lines directly up with taking care of your employees and making sure that they're they feel safe and comfortable here to ensure that your clients are having the best experience. So I think there's a trickle down effect in that way.
No doubt.
So talk to me about, I know you guys both love books. You both love kind of continuing your education and reading and podcasts. Tell me about a quote that you may live your life by, if you have one.
Yeah. Yeah, we are. You're right. We're huge book readers. I mean, almost too much sometimes, maybe. But I mean, I'm a big quote guy. I mean, all the times I'm writing down quotes, keeping quotes, and I don't know if there's a specific quote, but I will go back to something that just has kind of evolved. That it's kind of one of our core values, if you will, and it's work hard, be nice, but then also remember to give thanks. Because a lot of people go out there, they're just going, they're just working, which is good. Working hard's good, but they're not nice about it. They're a bulldozer. They're bulldozing people over.
Sure.
But work hard, but remember to be nice. The biggest part, though, in my opinion, is give thanks. That gratitude is huge.
Yeah. And
thanking people for where you've got to, or giving thanks for what you have or where you're at, is just that's the ultimate trifecta there. So work hard, be nice, but always remember to give thanks.
Man, that's awesome. That's hard to follow that one up.
Yeah.
How do I follow that up?
I don't know who said that, but
I think, and I'll just chime in there, Jared. I think that's something that you excel at, and I've heard that. I mean, clients love working with Jared because he's kind, he's nice. And a lot of people in service-based professions, they're busy, or they kind of have an intellectual capacity where they don't feel like they can take the time to actually be nice to people. We picked up a lot of work just because people like working with us because we're nice. We try to be friendly.
It's pretty common sense, yeah.
For me, I think I mentioned earlier, I'm a huge Simon Sinek guy. I got introduced to him right around the time that we were breaking off, and I was kind of in this valley of my life thinking, geez, this is scary stuff. I mean, starting over at that age was not really a prospect that was necessarily exciting. So, I got introduced to his TED Talk. And I know I was probably about, 8 to 10 years late to the party on that. 30 million views later, this thing is probably one of the top 5 viewed TED Talks of all time. So first of all, if you haven't done that, go out and watch that right after this, you listen to this podcast. But when I heard him talk about your why and why it's important to really identify, that changed everything. in my life, and that's kind of become my mantra. That's my quote, my email signature. My wife actually created this board for me that's kind of like a restaurant board, you know what I'm talking about, where it says start with why. And it's right, so the minute I walk in the door to my office every morning, it's just right in front of me. And that's the mantra I try to live by, that if my personal why is to make my team members' lives better, I want to have that in front of me constantly, because that is something that I feel like is important. And it certainly, I think, has given me a lot more fulfillment in what I do and what we're able to do as a firm.
That's awesome. Well, good stuff. I appreciate you guys sharing that. Okay, so I'd like to take a step back in time and go to your 20-year-old self. Can you kind of touch on what you might tell your 20-year-old self, and just kind of take it from there, each one of you?
Yeah, that's I love that question. I mean, and I think that one's pretty easy for me to answer really quick. It's that, if I were to say to my 20-year-old self what I would do different, it's that, once you get out of college or while you're in college, don't just stop learning once you graduate. Don't just stop getting better, but constantly, immediately, right when you get out or right during, read books, listen to stuff, and sit down and talk to people, have a cup of coffee, and just figure out what they're doing or what advice they have to get better. But constantly moving that needle forward and not just stopping when you get out of college is huge, because most people probably get out of college, get the job, and then just start working, which is great. But then also figure out how you can get better as well. Not just in your trade or profession, but just as a person. As a human being, how can you get better? And if I could do it all over again, man, I would start doing that right out of college. It's huge.
Yeah, I think that is awesome. That probably, honestly, would be the first thing that comes to my mind, too. It's constantly have that curiosity and the ability to really want to try to make yourself a better, not just business person, but human being. It is very easy to kind of slide into a job and just start working, kind of start thinking about how do you want to advance up the chain, but really, can you grow personally and professionally? I mean, I'm kicking myself. It took me so long to figure that out. I'm well into my career when my eyes were open to that. So that would probably be my number one. If I were to think about this, my second one would very likely is to try to connect with your why. Try to understand, why are you drawn to a profession or to, your job, and try to find a spot where your values align and really what's important to you and why you want to do what you want to do in your career aligns with the vision of the place you work. And I think that's how you really find a very fulfilling work environment, when you can kind of mirror those two up.
Man, both good. Just great stuff. Okay, let's circle back to the client experience as we kind of begin wrapping up. So what would be your one key takeaway that our listeners should take from our conversation and implement in their client experience?
Yeah, I think it's to just address client experience. Mm-hmm. I think in most businesses it's an afterthought. You're just concentrating on your service but not seeing it from that client perspective. So I think my biggest recommendation would be to, I don't want to get too formal here or whatever, but tactical, but form like a little committee, maybe like a client service committee or a client experience committee to sit around and powwow for 30 minutes or whatever. Is, guys, how do you think we're doing? Are we actually serving our clients? Are they getting a good experience when they come to us, or is it just dull, bland? I mean, we're just that transaction. So just be deliberate. Start thinking about externally what they're seeing from you, and then start making small tweaks. It's you're not going to do a 180 in a day. As they say, you don't steer or you don't turn a ship around in a day. You just slowly make changes, and eventually you're going to be totally different. So I think it's just be deliberate. Start thinking about it and think about how you get better in that aspect.
That's good, Jared. I think the key point there, are you meeting expectations?
Yeah.
And if so, that's not good enough. That is not good enough. You need to exceed expectations. You need to be very deliberate, just like Jared was saying. I think Richard Branson has said that he's a customer of a lot of his services because he wants to know what are they experiencing. And I think that drives that. For me, the biggest takeaway I'd have, that, and guys, to each his own, this is what worked for us, but was really to change our mindset that we feel that customer experience is a byproduct of employee experience. And so that has been our biggest learning point, is that if we focus there, then that other side seems to take care of itself on the interaction level. And then if you can kind of do what Jared says and really be very deliberate about creating the tangible aesthetics out there that really make it a friction-free environment that people love coming to, and will get up on a rooftop and shout your name, or invite you to a podcast or whatever the case may be, that's huge. That's the kind of things that will really create an experience that will have people talking about you.
Yeah, I mean, we say it all the time, and I heard this somewhere, so I can't take credit for it, but we want people to talk about Duckett Ladd when they're not talking about accounting.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A is talked about all the time, and they're not even talking about the fast food industry. So that's what gets people's, that's what catches people's attention, and that's what we're really sure.
Well, and think about this. I mean, guys, there's just a deluge of advertising and marketing and white space or white noise when it comes to service providers, to restaurants or whatever. Seth Godin has this concept called the purple cow. I'm on a huge Seth Godin kick right now. We saw him speak at Contradiction. I love that guy. But his whole point is you got to be remarkable. If you're not remarkable, worthy of someone making a remark about you, then you will get lost in the shuffle. You'll become white noise, and you will become a commodity-based transaction. And we all know what that leads to. I mean, that is not where you want to be. You want to try to create a remarkable product and remarkable experience that people are going to talk about.
Right. On an earlier podcast, Craig Jameson also mentioned the purple cow and how important that is to stand out. And it's interesting. I love, we're in this, just for you listening, we're in this side conference room. They have a large blackboard up on the wall, and it says, always give people more than what they expect to get. And so it's just interesting that, we walk in here, I'm setting up and already, it's warm and inviting in here, and it's just exciting to see them, these guys actually living that out. So how can our, Jared and Bill, how can our listeners get in contact with you, or how can they follow your business, keep up with the story?
Yeah, I mean, you can just go check us out on social media. Check out our Facebook page or Instagram page, but also check out our website too. DuckettLad.com. I think we do a really good job of getting our why across, getting our mission across, and telling people what we believe. So I encourage everybody to go check us out there and go from there.
Yeah.
Well, it's clear that you guys are super passionate about how your clients experience your business, and I just want to thank you guys for being on the podcast and let you know that I appreciate you.
Yeah.
No, you bet. Thanks for having us, Zach.
Yeah, for real, Zach. I really appreciate you doing this. I think this is an awesome topic. I think it is extremely overlooked in business, and people need to concentrate on it. So, definitely appreciate you doing this, man.
Thank you for listening in on another episode of the CX Architect Podcast. As always, we would love to get your feedback on this episode and other episodes. If you liked it, if you pulled out any nuggets to implement, things like that. You can head over to cxarchitectpodcast.com to find the show notes and a place to leave some feedback. Please let us know what you would like to hear more of, and if you like the show and believe others might benefit from it, we would love if you would share it up or leave a 5-star review on iTunes. Doing that will help more people discover the show. And with that, I appreciate you and thank you for listening. Have an awesome day.